I appreciate everybody tapping in. What we're going to do right now is something new that we're working on. We want to be able to get out some fast segments and get the people's voice behind some of the news and some of the important issues to where we have the ability to literally control the narrative, right? Given this platform that I have, I can directly speak to the people to get our voices heard instantly. And right now, in one of what's considered so-called to be the most important election cycle, a lot of people have opinions and have thoughts and have concerns and have issues. What I wanted to do is start having conversations directly with the people so that I can hear your thoughts. So, and then later on, we're going to be able to clip up some of these and push them out there to share that conversation and spark more of it, right? Some of the prompts that we're going to be given is very simple, right? I want to know your thoughts and your concerns about the election. I want to know why you're going for Kamala. I want to know why you're going for Trump. I want to know why you think this may be the most important election of all time, or why you think it may not matter at all. I want to know if you're voting, if you're not voting, if you're undecided, if you're independent, if you're a registered Republican or Democrat. And then afterwards, we also have a link for 50 people to be a part of a workshop, right? That is going directly to impact the political process. So I want to thank you all. First, I would like to start off with the prompt. And the way we're going to do it is you're going to raise your hand and we're going to pick a person. I please ask that you all be very short, right? And concise with your thoughts. I know that this could be a very emotionally charged discussion, you know, so we're going to start this off with number one. Are you voting and why? So if you would like to be chosen for that first start, I need you to put a 1 in the chat for participation. And then my brother Solomon, who is behind the scenes, is going to pick someone to unmute your mic so that you can have your voice heard. Huh? Keep the comments going. I see the ones. Just pick, let's just pick. I want you to make sure you have your camera ready. We may do something with voices for some people because I know it may be a little late right now. You done unwind, took your makeup off, probably got the cap on your head, and you may not want to be seen by the masses. But for those who are brave enough to show up, you know, make sure y'all tap in for sure. All right, let's go. Let's pick somebody and get started.
Hello?
Yes, sir. There we go. Who am I speaking with? Can you explain? Who am I speaking with and where you from, man?
I'm from Philly.
Philly. Okay,
Yeah.
Philly in the house. What's going on with you, good brother? What's your name?
I ain't not much. My name is Mike. You know what I'm saying?
Mike. Pleasure to meet you, Mike.
Likewise, bro.
So let me ask you, man, are you voting?
No.
You said no.
No.
Why not?
So personally, I don't believe my vote even matters in the greater scheme of things. I believe I matter, but not my vote. You know what I'm saying? So I don't partake in politics. I pay attention to it, and I'm aware of, you know, what's what, right? But I believe it's just, you know, it's the same thing, disguised as two different parties. So I don't really fall for the politics, but I personally, yeah, I don't.
Well, let me ask you, would you vote if you believed that you were aligned with one of the candidates and they was going to do something that you felt impacted you?
No.
So you just you're not participating regardless.
No.
What would get you to vote?
I want to say damn near nothing, because it's like I already stepped outside of that, right? So it's nothing.
Sir.
It's nothing you can promise me. It's nothing they could promise me or tell me. So it's not necessarily like, you know what I'm saying? So that's me though.
And how old are you? Just to get your demographic.
I'm 23. And
23.
You gotta be what, 18, right?
What'd you say? I
said you have to be 18 to vote, right?
Yes, sir.
So yeah, I could have been voted for a few years now, but I haven't. I never did.
Yes, sir. I respect that. I respect that. This is just about, you know, gathering the thoughts and the voices. I can say this. My brother Jay Jordan hit me up. He used to be a part of a bunch of prison reform groups. And he hit me up to be a part of Prop 6, which is helping reform like the prison industry so they can stop legally being able to utilize prison labor as slave labor without paying people. When it comes to stuff like that, like an actual like bill or some legislation I can get behind, that's something that I can respect. You know what I mean? That's something I can be like, all right, let's go for it because we can actually see a real impact on it. It's like when I realize this when I see them change, you know, the necessity for us to be able to have bail, right? When a lot of people get locked up and then they can't pay bail, and a lot of people, they'll take a plea of things of that nature because they got to fight their case behind bars.
Right.
I feel like a lot of times they just don't give us issues that appeal directly to us where we can say, okay, I can have a direct impact on that. Because a lot of the conversation right now are about things that a lot of young black men such as yourself, quite frankly, believe don't even affect them or go impact their real life in any consequential manner. So I could understand why you would take a position in the stance of, you know what, I'm gonna just wash my hands clean in the system because it felt like the system washed their hands clean of me.
Right. And I'm aware, so I'm sure, you know, they'll time to time they'll tell you something you like they'll waiver something shiny in your face, far as like a couple of extra dollars or something in particular like that. But that's like low bearing fruit. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you can't keep falling for that. It's like, all right, you're gonna give me a couple extra dollars. You know, I'm talking about
Yeah,
like checks and all of that. And that's cool, right? That's cool. Thank you. But it ain't really enough. You did what I'm
yeah.
saying? So it's like,
No, if money, if you control by money, you become a prostitute. That's what I was always taught. So
right,
you really start pimping yourself by little or nothing. And the dangerous thing of that, you got to literally sell your soul, right? Anytime you give up your values for anything else, you sold your soul. No matter what you gave it up for. But the moment you compromise your values for something, you lose yourself. And so much of our culture, we just done lost ourselves because we made money a god.
completely.
Right? And now we're starting to act like government is a god because we can't even critique the parties that people participate in. Like, I don't care if you go vote, but you still should be able to have a critical mindset towards the party that you are involved in. If you can't do that, it lets me know that you got a slave mind, and that's more of a cult,
Right.
right? And it's more dangerous for you to be involved than it is not. So, bro, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for
Likewise.
being a part of
Sure.
this.
Good to tap in with
Man,
you.
salute to you. Yes, sir.
Sure, man.
All right. In the comments, I want to know what y'all think about what my good brother just said and what his thoughts were. And I would love for somebody else to come up here and share their voice as well. If you are a Republican, I would love to hear why you voting for Donald Trump. If you are a Democrat, I would love to hear why you voting for Kamala. So let's go. Put a 1 in the chat. Let's see him again. Don't be afraid to use your voice, man. That's how you get heard in the world. All right. Let's see who's next. You said what? Oh, there we go. What's going on with you?
Greetings. Sending you guys love and gratitude. I feel like the last real president was JFK, and we all know what happened to JFK, right? I'm actually involved in a lot of the politics here in Mongolia, but I'm also a U.S. citizen, so I have like different political worldview of things. But I really know that it's like between which two pirates are you going to vote? It makes no difference for me. But for now, the best candidate seems to be JFK. But even though I know there's a shadow government besides the government, and I know that there's many other things that's going on behind scenes. So just like the brother said, like doesn't matter which pirate you pick, they're both evil, you know. So
So
uh,
are you voting?
not voting, not
So you're
voting.
not voting. You decided to not participate. If if RFK was still running, would you then vote?
Of course, for me he's the best candidate because I feel
Okay.
like
And why you
because
think
he
that
was on.
is?
Well, because he was on your podcast, you know, and a lot of the kind of people in my circle just told me he seems to be the most legitimate like human being. We all know his family. We know what happened to his uncle, to his father. They all got assassinated, you know.
Yeah. Man, I
So
thank you, bro. I appreciate that. Have you ever voted before? Have you ever been involved in the political process?
Well, you know, my mom, she's a politician here in Mongolia, so I vote for her only in Mongolia. But even though I'm a U.S. citizen, I only vote for my mama, you know, because she's done a lot for this
Okay.
country.
You believe in
So,
nepotism. You just trying to put family in position. I respect it.
mhm. Family
Thank you, bro. I
first.
appreciate you participate.
Yeah,
All right,
thank
who
you,
we
brother.
got next? Now, I was looking at some of this data that came out about it, and they said this has been the most expensive election year thus far, right? $16 billion, something like that, has been spent. And then I think about all of the problems that exist in America, right? And how much, you know, if anything, how much change that we could have created without one vote being cast. And it really shows you the problem with America, because there is a complete differentiation between the people's vote, right, and the fact that we don't actually have a democracy, we have an oligarchy, which means that a special interest group and corporations have more power over legislation than the people do, right? So therefore, can you ever really get a good America when there can be an idea that's popular to the people? And there was a 2014 Princeton study on this that showed that, you know, the American people have little to zero influence over legislation that gets passed through Congress. But corporations have major influence. Rich, the 1% class, right? Those who are the high earners in this country do, because of the way lobbyism is set up to where they literally get to write the laws and then get them passed through Congress. So let's hear from somebody that is a registered voter. If you are a registered voter, press 1, right? So that we can have you up here so your voice count the way you think your vote counts. Talk to me. Man. Oh, and can you make the screen larger? Maximize that for me. And if you can't turn it up, please can't do that.
I'm sorry.
Oh, there we go. We got somebody in here? All right. I mean, the actual, would this fit on the whole screen? Yeah, do that. Do that for me real quick. Thank you, sir. Ah, there
Hi.
we go. How you
Uh,
doing? Blessings.
Blessings to you.
So, my question, are you registered to vote?
Yes,
Okay, who you voting for?
I'm voting for Trump.
You voting for Trump. We got a Trumpian in here. Talk to me.
You
So
do.
why are you voting for Donald Trump instead of Kamala?
Um, Number one is because I respect a man that prays. Number two is because I now stand against abortion. I don't think
Mm.
it's right, especially at 7 months, 8 months. I did that before, and I knew it was wrong when I did it. So yeah, learned my lesson. So now I'm against it for my own reasons to better
That's a
myself.
very interesting perspective and reasons, and thank you for sharing. Now, in the first part that you said you respect the man that prays.
Yes,
How you do you have proof that Donald Trump prays?
yes, I witnessed him praying, and he prays against witchcraft. And I have been a victim of serious witchcraft. That is currently my journey. I am learning a lot about it. A lot is being exposed about it. And Kamala has did a lot of things that pertains to witchcraft against me and my children. So, um, yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming on the show and letting me know. So basically, you believe that Donald Trump is somebody that's going to help you battle the evil forces of witchcraft.
I don't think he's going to help me battle the evil forces of witchcraft because I'm doing that myself, hand in hand with the Most High. I don't feel like he's going to help me do anything. I'm voting because I do feel like this world is going the wrong way and it does need a leader.
Okay. And you believe Donald Trump is that leader?
Um, because of the two parties, yes. I also like Kennedy.
You said you also what?
I also like Kennedy.
Oh, Kennedy, because he's going
Yeah.
to be in his cabinet with the MAHA, Make America Healthy Again campaign and initiative.
I like the Make America Great Again. Yes. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm raising children in America, so
Now, let me ask you one last question, because I've seen a lot of breakdown about the abortion ban, right?
yeah.
I know somebody like Angela Stanton is a stern proponent against, right, the abortion and believing that women's rights of abortion should be completely disqualified. And then some of them make cases about mortality rates and extreme circumstances to where women cannot get certain health treatments that fall under the category, right, of abortion and things of that nature.
Right.
So is it that you are against abortion because of spiritual reasons now in your life, but do you also agree that women should be able to have these certain medical treatments, right, that fall into these more extreme categories that they can't get treated, such as like stillbirths and things of that nature? Or should that just be in the state's hands? What's your
I'm,
thoughts?
I'm against abortion simply because it should not be used as a form of birth control. It's not a form of birth control. It shouldn't be used as a form of birth control. I feel like I'm against just killing our youth, killing our roots. Um, I feel like we need to mature. A lot of us need to mature. And I'm just speaking against the ones who, like myself, who's at a point took advantage of the system. And
Mm.
um yeah,
So your goal is to stop people like yourself from
yes,
making decisions that you now consider to be selfish.
yes, yes.
Okay, thank you for your honesty. I appreciate
Mm,
you coming up here and sharing your voice.
you're welcome.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Who we got next, Solomon? Come on up here, Sovereign. Sovereign don't sound like he voting. Sovereign don't sound like he about to vote at all.
Wait a minute, hold on. Yes, hello.
What's going on with you, Sovereign?
Pleasure to meet you, Mr. 19 Keys. Yes,
Yes, sir. I appreciate you.
I have interesting insight perspective on personally what I feel would be beneficial to us all, we the people, we the masses.
Well, let's
No,
first start with this. Are you voting or not?
no, not voting.
Okay. Then let's go number two. Give me your reason why.
Well, as a former brother who was on here before me said, our voices, they don't have too much effect on the opinions of the corporations, who have a more valuable input on what's to happen in America.
Mm. Yes, sir. And where you from?
Lancaster, California.
Now, let me ask you, what about things like bills and certain legislation that you believe in, such as like, you know what I mean, prison reform and, you know what I mean, stuff like that?
Well, I think as far as bills and laws go, I think they're more so set up, in cultivated in the interest solely um, to the worldly governors, the business owners, the ones who own the big companies, the one because they profit off of the inmates now. They profit
Well,
off of
yeah,
the inmates
that's a
in the
fact. But
laws.
what about the bills that we could pass on a local level to create and produce change, particularly after we organize, right? I'm into
Yeah.
organization. I got a platform now where, let's say that I was in Kansas City and I met with an entrepreneur. And one of the issues that they had was that he had a health food restaurant, right, that served hot foods and things of that nature. But in the surrounding area, right, it's a food desert, number one. It's poverty. Even in the street that his actual building on is named after someone who used to own slaves. So he's trying to get that changed. But the thing, when I talked to him, he said if we can get it changed to where people will be able to use they like SNAP program, right?
Yes.
And some of the welfare programs that some of these people on to get healthy, hot foods. Number
Right.
one, that would increase his revenue. It would allow people to be able to get healthy food, right? And it would
Absolutely.
allow him to be able to hire people. So therefore, that'd be something I champion behind. Like, all right, let's push a bill through, because the only reason it is that way, most likely, because we're not paying attention to it or fighting for it. So I think that
Absolutely.
our generation never really seen in a very productive way us use a political system, which is why we don't believe in any aspect of it. And we like, let's just throw the baby out with the bathwater completely.
Absolutely. So I believe, okay, so my response to your question, what laws could be passed to help the world? Basically, um, well, laws that could be passed to help the world, help the people, we the masses, pertains to, okay, so our input on what happens with our tax dollars. Why are we worried about going to Mars when there's people still on the street, when we have islands of garbage in the oceans, in the waters? Where is all of this money? Are we prioritizing what we should be prioritizing here? Because it doesn't look like it. We're trying to go to Mars for okay, so what do we accomplish looking elsewhere? When you look at a problem in the world, when you look at any problem in life, for me, in my opinion, you have to start with oneself. You want to
I
change the
believe
world, you got
that.
to start
Save
with
yourself for sure.
exactly. You got to start with yourself. You got to start with you want to change the world, start with your household. Then you go outside, your neighbors, community, and then it goes out into the state. And then politics, and then it goes worldwide. So it starts. It
Yeah, the
starts
honorable,
with
not to
self.
cut your wisdom, Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, actually the quote I believe comes from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, say, self-development is the basis of community development. So I believe that all change starts with ourselves, for sure.
Absolutely.
First of all, I thank you. I want to keep it short because we got a lot of people in the room.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Absolutely.
you for participating. I definitely want to, when we talk, I always want to challenge the people wherever their thoughts are. So that's why I wanted to give you some additional response to the prompt. But thank you for being here, my good
Yes,
brother.
sir.
Salute to you.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Likewise, brother man.
All right, let's get a Democrat in the building, man. Who's voting for the good sister Kamala? We got some. We had somebody in here already saying that they voting for Trump because they believe he's a God-fearing man and he prays and he go battle witchcraft and things of that nature. So I want to hear from some of the Democrats as well that's voting the sister Kamala in. Okay, wait a minute now. Is that a background picture of you? Okay. What's going on, sister? Where are you from and are you voting? You unmute yourself.
Oh, that's me talking to?
Yeah, that's you. That's you.
Peace. How you doing, Keys?
Man, I'm magnificent.
That's good. It's good to hear. Well,
Wait a
I'm
minute.
gonna tell you, this. I'm not voting for Kamala because I don't believe in what she was trying to do in Africa when she was trying to force the whole like mutilating your bodies, same-sex marriage. Like the culture is totally different in Africa. I didn't like what she was pushing. I didn't like her
Where's the
agenda.
person?
Huh? Am I here?
I can't see you. I want to make sure he bring you up on the screen.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm here in my living room, not fully clothed, so I'm just trying to hide from y'all. But my hands. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I just hopped on real quick when I seen the link, so I'm not really fully dressed.
Are you voting for Donald Trump?
I would vote for Trump if I could, but because I'm a legal resident and I was born in Trinidad, they don't allow us to vote. Even if I'm legal, I can't vote.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate your opinion. I want to get somebody in here that's a Democrat as well. But you have a beautiful and a blessed day. All right. Let's move on forward. Let's make sure that you're a legal resident. And, if you lost your right to vote, I want to hear from you as well, for sure. But for this purpose, let's keep it on target. I ain't got that much time, man. The world crazy outside. I don't know what's going to happen. I won't waste no time. Let's get straight to it. They just brought me some food. It's smelling good in the back. I'm hungry. Let's get to it. You know what I'm talking about? All right, what my Democrats at? Press 1 for Kamala. Come on now. Hey, if you represent the sister, you support the sister, come on in. I want to hear your thoughts, opinions, and ideas. All right, we got somebody. What's her name? Denise? All right, we got Denise coming in. Come on, sis. Are you back?
Hello.
How you doing? Bless it.
I'm blessing to you as well. Well, I have historically been a Democrat. Um, I feel like at this point it ain't even a lesser of two evils at this point. I believe the illusion of inclusion has us deceived, and the illusion of choice that is really some kind of choice. We really don't. We got Trump basically saying that he wants to give immunity to police who are already operating as if immunity is granted. I mean, they kill at will, without explanation, without any kind of consequence or accountability. We have Kamala, and regardless, I guess, whether she Black, Indian, all of that is irrelevant. She's served as a vice president and been silent up until this moment.
Are you voting for her or Donald Trump or independent? Who you voting for? Anybody or nobody?
At this point, I am registered. I I I I'm so on the fence about voting, period. I just got a thing in the mail that showed it could show you every election that you voted, and it'll show you whenever you didn't vote. And it said your choice is private, but whether or not you vote, it's made public. I thought that was an interesting thing to get just prior for the election. Also, I thought it was interesting in Missouri, we just had all of a sudden, in all of my 61 years of life, I've never known 911 to go down, and it just went down conveniently to me. It's a lot of things. I think we as a people, I think it has nothing to do with who gets in office. I think there's an agenda that will go forth regardless. I think our culture has to start protecting and voting for itself by not necessarily looking. We are going to have to move to bartering systems and systems that don't necessarily include a presiding body telling us what we need to do and what we can do.
Okay, so right now we got you as undecided, most likely not energized to go to the polls to vote whatsoever.
Not at all.
Because you feel like there's a lackluster, right, in any hope and change in any future, and you don't have really any belief in either candidates.
I don't have any confidence. I don't have any confidence at this point. I believe the presidential office is a figurehead position more than one of power. So I don't necessarily believe whoever gets elected is going in there with no radical change, because I believe there's an agenda that's going to be pushed forward regardless of who holds office.
Thank you. I appreciate this.
So I just think that our people have this illusion that we have a choice, and then never, regardless, the homosexual agenda, they took away the Black minority a right to matter. And so they gave them, and now with all the migrants and immigrants, they have replaced us, so to speak, on a totem pole. So we must protect ourselves. We must develop communities where we take care of our own. We must develop programs. Like, our kids need to stop going to public schools. I think it's just so many basic things that we're going to have to take back. We're going to have to be accountable for what we allow to be said about us. All the disgusting music where our women are looking like, it's just so many things that if we start changing inwardly, then we'll change the world globally.
Yes. Well, thank you. I appreciate you, Denise. Thank you for lending your voice.
Okay.
All right. Well, Denise don't feel like she's going to vote. She feels like she's not energized to go to the polls, and none of these issues have really, hit her heart to spark her to go up there, because she believes that, at this point in time, politics does nothing. I believe that we're starting to see this more and more in America. And what I learned a long time ago is 100% dissatisfaction produces a change. So says Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So what ended up happening is there essentially gets to a generation that completely revolutionizes the way they do things, and it shifts the standard. I believe after this election, regardless of who wins, number one, of course, America will never be the same. The political process will never be the same. The Democrats and Republican parties will never be the same. The voting shift and the outcome, right, and the belief in a political process is going to be crazy, because over these next 4 years, we're going to see a lot of different things. We're going to see if a World War III happens. We're going to see if the president can stop the different genocides that are happening, right, from Congo to Sudan to Palestine. And then, of course, the issues that's happening here in our own backyard, in our own country, right? I think that nobody is going to do a good job that satisfies the people. America will continue to be more divided than ever. So it's very interesting to hear you reason why, because a lot of times you just become numbers and statistics and we don't actually get to it. So let me hear somebody else. Particularly, I would love to hear from a Democrat. If we got any Democrats in the building, man, stand on your business if that's what you're standing on. That's all I'm saying. Stand on your business. Democrats, press 2. Let me get some 2s in the building. If you're a Democrat, press 2. Don't press 1. Press 2. Bring them on in here. Somebody only press 0. Get the sister out of here. Dolly, stop. There we go. There we go. Yeah, I want to hear. Come on. Put your voice out there. Huh? All right, there we go. What's the name? Cassie? Cass Lou. What's going on with you, Miss Lou?
Hello, hello, hello. Blessings to you and everyone here this evening, wherever you are. I voted early. Not only am I a female, Black female, but I am a parent. So I'm thinking about ahead, as all the other extremists and Republicans do. They think way ahead sometimes of Democratic Party. So I'm thinking ahead. And when I think ahead, I think of my children and their children as well, and how these laws or bills or whatever else will affect them in the future when I'm gone. So I'm thinking in the future, but also it surrounds civil rights, healthcare, reproduction, and education. So those are the areas that, and there's many more areas, especially when you think of Project 2025 and you read articles like that. You have to think, yes, we have Dems, we have Republicans, and we have independent people. I have always been registered as a Democrat. Have I thought about independent? Yes, to be upfront. But at the same time, I think we're too focused on the actual labeling of things and not looking at the individuals that are running and what they stand for. They're more what they call moral compass, and the way that they will move forward for us. It's not just about, it's us, yes, doing for ourselves, but it's also power in numbers. So if we're going to also think about how to create different communities for ourselves, our relationships, our communities, it's still power in numbers. And when you think about the Republicans also, there's some of them that are not for Trump or the extremists. So when you think Democrat, you think Republican, you got to remember there's some extremists out there. Okay. And it's really looking at that, from that point of view as well.
So you're voting for Kamala.
Yes.
You believe that you believe that the Republican Party is dangerous for you and your children's future. And you believe that you're voting based on foresight.
I think the extremists are. The extremists. Usually,
are there extremists in both sides?
Well, in the sense of, I think there can be extremists on both sides, but not to the level of the Republican Party at times.
Can you give me an example of the Republican extremism that you, quite frankly, are worried about?
For instance, if there are some civil rights issues, if there are anything to do with healthcare, for instance, I was, I went through motherhood, I went through pregnancy. And when you think about different bills, there's different bills, right? So it doesn't just take that one person, Kamala or Trump or whoever's in office to do these bills. It takes our local, our state, the Congress, the House of Representatives, the Senate, the legislative party. It takes those people that we have in those seats. It takes those people that we have in those seats. And in order to pass certain things for civil rights, for reproduction is not just about abortion. I had a child myself. There were, some minor things, but who knows why they probably had me on that table for 3 days eating chips. Ice chips might have been because they were trying to decide what to do. And if those doctors could really do what they were supposed to do for me or my child. So it's those bills that are in place that are really significant. And if who's ever in charge, put it this way, if the local and the House and the Senate, if we don't have those seats, they can't do anything.
Let me ask you, do you think that decisions like that should be left in the hand of the government, or should the people be allowed to vote on those type of things to make decisions?
It should be the people. It should be the people. And that's why in the back of the ballot, they have those questions. But a lot of people don't pay attention to those questions in the back of the ballot.
Because one thing I know, not to cut your wisdom, but when we look at some of the legislation that is passed, like historically with gay marriages, it would not go through with the popular vote of the people, but it went through the Supreme Court, right? And so when I think about it, is the will of the people is very low as far as their ability to actually produce change and create legislation. I would like to see, because I think that America is going to consistently be in a state of chaos unless the people will is actually met through a real democratic system, but it's hard to see that. Then for me, when I think about extremism, I can definitely see extremism on both sides, right? That's easy. That's just dry and cut. I think anybody that's going for Donald Trump can also see extremism in the Republican Party and can also see the dangers that it will produce, but I can also see the dangers that will be produced in the Democratic Party. It's just that they're not as pronounced because the Democrats, not the ones that shoot you with the gun, they the ones that slit your throat at night. That's the way I look at it, right? It's a silent death. You ain't even know. You ain't even know somebody got hit. But why? Because when we look at certain crime bills, right, and we look at the historic impact of the Democrats, specifically on black men, which has never been historically addressed. Black men are just supposed to forgive and forget and move forward, right? But this is why there is so much animosity towards that particular party, because black men feel like we've gotten the short end of the stick while they get to preach democracy, right, and turn their party extremism on us through these bills. So I see why a younger generation who probably don't have a father or who have an uncle, who have a brother, or somebody that was disproportionately affected, that was just thrown as a statistic or a number. But these are bills that were championed by the democratic process. Me being a black Muslim in America, right, I think about the fact on how they've always put a ban and a media blackout on the Nation of Islam and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and stopped monies from coming over there and did everything in their power to try to make that particular group, who has been one of the best, most reforming and redeeming groups in American history, from actually having impact and growth in America. We don't think about the impact of those things as the residual effect of why our communities are destroyed in the way that they are. But there has to be some sort of retribution for those things, and they have to do more than tell us that the other party is worse than us. They actually provide reparation for the things that they've broken. Right? And neither party has done that, of course. But I definitely thank you, and I appreciate your voice. And I respect your process.
But can I ask you a question before you end?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, when you just mentioned that, when you think of what's going on, do you think that it's about the parties per se or the individuals within the party?
I think it's about big government, right? When I think about the parties, I just think about government, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of times, we stop using the word government a lot during politics time, right? And I think we should use it more because you're voting on what side of the government you want to have influence over your affairs, right? That's what you're voting on. And we have to decide collectively what is important to us. I think big government is going to continue to destroy the people. I like the fact that Robert F. Kennedy, at least he's creating a campaign about Make America Healthy Again, right? I do not like the fact that the Democrats make a circus out of us, right? I do not like that because they sit down with entertainers, but I don't see them sit down with actually thought leaders and political advisors and respected leaders in our community when they say they have our best interests at heart. Well, speak to those that we believe have our best interests at our heart and at our best minds, right? You can't claim to represent our progress and our process, but those are not the people I see you sit down with. So I think that on both sides of this bird, that is the government, number one, the people are being fooled and duped into thinking that it is the people versus the people. It's the Democrats versus Republican. No, it is the people and it is the government. And the reason why we can't have discussions as far as what we want as a people is because people have decided to jump into these cults of personalities, right? And they can't even critique the party that they're voting for, which is where you would actually have the people are in agreement. The Constitution was written in a way to where it was trying to stop a tyrannical government from having too much power so that the people would have a check and balance system when they needed to revolt. But the people don't know when to revolt. The people have so much belief in the vote as a democratic process to produce change. We're not even looking at the lobbyist system and asking, when does this need to change? Why does AIPAC have so much power and control and influence over a government, which is a foreign government? How come they get unwavered and unyielding political support on both sides, right? But when it comes to Black of America, everybody needs to watch their voice and their tone and how they speak about promises that they have for us. They have an undying and unyielding support about their belief that Israel, right, has the right to be a state. But what about Black America's right in our estates, in our reparations that they never given us? So if Kamala and Donald Trump can speak to them with feverish loyalty, when they go up there unyielding, say they're going to be the best for them, then we should also get that same promise and that same package of stimulus for Black America, because we built the country. We are the country. We gave them the first music. We fought in every single war. We shed the blood for America. We invented, we innovated, right? And Black men statistically are down. So no matter who you vote for, it ain't for that young Black boy's future until Black men are represented as leaders in this country.
Thank you. Thank you. It's always good
Thank
to
you.
hear both sides. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you. All right. Let's switch questions. So we got a Democrat, we got a Republican, we got an undecided. We even had an illegal resident. Oh, man. I want to know, when it comes to the future of America, what is it that you actually want to see? What is it that you want to see done? How much government do you think should be in our lives, and how much you think it should be our responsibility to save ourselves? Right? I often mention the statistics of Black men in America, the mental health, the cancer, the suicide, the depression rates, right? The prison rates, all of these different things. And I don't do that to put us in a victim mentality. I do that so that we can be aware of what we need to fix and where our focus should be when we go out there and we represent ourselves. What we need to create in order to produce a certain type of change. So I want to know, what do you all think are the solutions, right, for America's decline? What should we be focusing on? Is it economics? Is it mental health, right? Do you believe reproductive rights is the most important fight of the time? What is it that's on your mind that you believe that America should be focused on the most? Is it the unity of the people? Is it group thinking? Is it family? Let me know. What we got? Let me get a 1 up there in the chat. All right, we got some 1s in the chat. Bring some people up, new people up. See, I'm the type of person, I don't claim to be right, I just claim to be growing. Every time somebody point out a fallacy in one of my arguments, it just helps me strengthen my point of view. How you doing there, good sister?
Hi, Peace King. All that good stuff. How are you?
Oh, I'm magnificent, man. I thank you for tapping in.
Great. So with this topic, it really just pulled me in because I'm like looking at the marketing of everything down to the names, like Kamala being focused on like fertility and wealth, and that's like the Hindu name for Lakshmi. You know what I mean? And when you look at it with that perspective, and even down to like Trump's name, like the MAGA is about combat. That's a Hebrew word for combat. So I look at the marketing of it all and I'm just like, okay, technically, what do we as individuals need in our own lives more of? Do we need more combat or more rights of speech, or do we need more wealth or whatever it is? Because at the end of the day, they're going to always like bring false promises to where we think, okay, this is what they're going to do. You're still human. So you got to give that grace to everyone, especially in that kind of position. So personally, what I feel this country needs more of is a sense of self and also the ability to know who we are in this time and really focus on bringing forward a future guarantee for like the next generation. Like Black people, we are like literally 200 years out of slavery, catching up half of the shit that's going on, and we don't even realize like media has made us feel like we can get ahead so quickly, but in truth we have access quickly, but we don't really have the same rights as quickly. And PTSD is real, post-traumatic slavery syndrome, when
I think we lost a sister, but she was saying something about PTSD being real. She actually gives me with something I want to talk about, economics. Let's talk about economics, because I know that this is important. I was
considering
looking at some reports. Oh no, there she go. Wait a minute. You there?
yeah, I'm here.
So you can stay on for this one, actually.
Okay.
So I was looking at some reports that say Gen Z, and I love that there's some Gen Z, some millennials, some boomers in the building that can speak towards this. But it say Gen Z saving habits, right, have increased by 10% in 2022, but their investment in traditional markets has decreased, right? It said that the saving rates of the U.S. personal saving rates was 7.5% in 2023, the second highest since the 1970s, following a peak of 13.7% in 2020, right? The Gen Zs are saving money, saving cash, instead of throwing it into the market. Now, economists and people are afraid of that. They acting like they Warren Buffett. Right now, Warren Buffett got cash reserves of $130 billion, which indicates a very cautious approach when it comes to the market. We see top hedge fund guys like Ray Dalio saying that, short term, Trump may be good, long term, Kamala may be good, right? There's tariffs ideas that they throwing out there. There's ways where they're trying to stop the price hikes in grocery stores and things of that nature, but America is missing out in cryptocurrency and the Bitcoin future, and we seeing gold at an all-time high. That means that that's a hedge against inflation, right? When people are putting it in a safe haven, such as precious metals, right, that has been up 19.1% over the last 6 months, right? That means that Americans are worried about where the country is going to go. Right? And when the people are fearful, that's how the market reacts. So I want to know about, number one, and here's one more stat before I go. Baby boomers' wealth. Boomers hold about 52% of U.S. household wealth, the highest amongst all generations. So they're literally the wealthiest generation ever recorded in history. But when they pass down that wealth, their children are going to have completely different spending habits, different values, which is going to change the American structure, right? I want to know, when it comes to the economy, what are your concerns for the economy? Are you a person that buys gold, buys precious metals, right? Or do you feel prepared or not?
I feel like with that, we are never really too prepared because we don't really know exactly what's going to happen. And I feel like the best way to build wealth is start with health. literally start from where you are and not try to go out, because at the end of the day, we are like meant to attract what we need in our life. And to always, like, another thing too, the economy is shifting so much where you got people who are in these great positions and they've done so many different things, right? And their integrity is catching up with them to the point money doesn't mean well. So it's like build character, build wealth on a home basis, and then literally build out. I do believe in investing in gold, things like that. But my
Do you
mind
have any investment strategies that you currently taking? Are you educating yourself to set yourself up?
is definitely doing that. A lot of it for me is really building things that I can pass on to my children. That is really important. So more like starting businesses, looking into like IRA, Roth accounts, stuff like that, that it can
Okay.
be moved over to where if a person wants to use it, they can do that. And I was wondering too, like I'm looking into this, if you can use Bitcoin to do an IRA Roth, because a lot of Bitcoin is going to keep increasing. I already know it. Because Bitcoin is, I'm gonna say, like, it's really to me backed by the black market, and it's been that, and it's pretty much been a way that everything can be funneled without it kind of touching certain things. And I don't want to say that too much on here, but yes.
Well, I put it like this. A lot of institutions have adopted Bitcoin now. Bitcoin started off as decentralization. It did start it off in the black market, right? It was utilized on the dark net. So mostly everybody didn't have access to Bitcoin early on. A lot of people didn't know what it was, right? It was used for a lot of salacious things. That was before it reached the clear net and it became as popular as it is today. It's a storehouse of value just like gold, right? It's considered to be digital gold at this point. This is why for the last 5 to 6 years, we've been telling people buy Bitcoin. And if you can't buy a whole one, buy Satoshis, right? Satoshis are the increments of Bitcoin. And so it's like, if you can't buy a whole gold kilo, you buy an ounce, right? So I believe that the reason why Costco has been selling out of gold and now they're selling silver, people are getting smart when it comes to assets, right? Most particularly when we think about wealth standards, like Asian community automatically buy gold. Indians, Asians, they buy just as a practice in their culture. So they have a wealth standard towards this practice of having, number one, a safe haven, something that if it hits on hard times that you can be able to cash out, but is increasing value as you go along. And then at the same time goes towards your net worth. I think that's the discussion. There was a report that came out of 2053 about 2053. It projected the future of Black America and it painted a very dim picture that essentially in 2053, Black people have 0% wealth. And by 2073, right, brown people have 0% wealth. So the reason they said that is because the studies were showcasing that even if you have a college degree, right, you still have less wealth than a high school dropout in white America. Right now, the study did not give a breakdown between Asians and Black, and Asians have the highest household income in America, right? They also are high investors when it comes to the stock market, right? We're just now catching up on that, but traditional wealth is built in real estate, the stock market, and insurance. Mm-hmm. So I believe that everybody should buy precious metals such as gold. If gold goes up, then silver follows as well. That has always been the link in the trend of the trade. So why? Because that report said that we have 0% assets. Gold is an asset that has intrinsic value, meaning its value will never go down to zero. Right. So that for your children and for you, you should at least be taking a percentage of that and buying gold, whether you're buying it on a yearly basis, you're buying it on a monthly basis, right? Gold is topping and most likely will continue to go up, especially as turmoils in these different countries are happening. BRICS is trying to back some of their money by gold, but they're also adopting Bitcoin as way because they're trying to go to de-dollarization, right? As the fall of the dollar is imminent. We don't know when, but we know that the American economy is pumped up. So you're not actually seeing the way it should fluctuate. So everybody should be buying gold. Matter of fact, in the High Level Club, we're going to be doing a whole breakdown for the members on how to buy gold, how to be backed by gold, understanding the spot price, understanding the history, where to buy it, the gold bullions, how to get it insured, right? How to leverage that gold for your net worth, the whole nine. Because most people here couldn't tell me what their net worth was,
Mhm.
right? So the goal is to look at your earned income, the amount of money you make, then look at the debt that you have, right? So if you make $30,000 a year, but you in $30,000 in debt, then your net worth is zero. But then you add what your assets are. So if you have $1,000 in assets, your current net worth is $1,000. So the goal is to consistently, right, get into bonds, get into stocks, get into real estate, get into anything. But the easy ones to start crypto, right? Easy ones to start that gold. You can start dollar cost averaging, meaning that you automate to take a certain amount of your paycheck and then you buy an asset regardless of what price it is, because over time, right, you're going to get a good price based on the median difference, right? So of that fluctuation rate. So I believe that we should start off, right, at least our financial journey, empowering ourselves. Buy some gold,
Right.
buy you some silver. Take a percentage of your paycheck, 30% towards savings, maybe 30% toward investment, right? Maybe you got 30% towards spending, right? Then of course you got your bills, but like have a plan of action, because if you don't plan, it never happens. And that's the whole point. Financial planning doesn't have to be hard, right? We can make it very simple. And those are not things that the government can intervene. They can't force you to change your spending habits. You got to save yourself. They can't force you to decide that you want to be wealthy and to activate the knowledge that you actually learn, right? Making money or saving money, maintaining money, producing wealth is just like working out. Every time you go to the gym, right, you work out, you may produce about this much of muscle, right? A small amount when you first starting off, that's a little bit of muscle, right? But over time, every single day, that little bit stacks up to start to become a lot, right? Then eventually, it becomes this much, 30, 60, 90 days, right? So what happens is a lot of us, when we are in survival mode, we think short term. If I'm not getting it today, then I'm not doing it. Because we can only see based on our survival. So we see this much. But when you think wealthy, you zoom out because you're thinking about your future self. So everything that you are today is based on everything you did in your yesterdays. And you just add them up. So if you don't make a decision today, that today is going to be the day that I change my future by my actions in the present. Hindsight, foresight, and insight are the three visions. I had that conversation with my good brother Nuri Muhammad, right? So whether you're looking at the past, you're taking data in the present, or you're looking towards the future. So I want us to save ourselves by collective reliance, collective responsibility, right? So we can get out of the fairy tale world of philosophies about ideas, and we can get into more of a practical aspect of how we save ourselves based on our actual habits. Now, if you need some help with that, for 2025, for our community, we're going to be showing the blueprint. You know what I mean? For those that's just getting started and those that's on the journey. When I first started, if nobody taught me, if I didn't have a community, it'd be very hard, even though you want to. So you need to be surrounded by people on the same journey. You need to educate yourself so you have a little bit of knowledge at least to get started. And then you need to be consistent and disciplined so that you can get results over time. So make sure y'all tap in a high level club. Thank you, sister. I appreciate you. Let's go with somebody next. Let me ask y'all in the comments, what is your favorite asset? What is your favorite way of investing, right? And also, I want to get into a little AI conversation as well. When it comes to AI, are you fearful of it? Or do you interact with it and do you use it, right? Are you looking forward to it? I want to get into that conversation in just a second after I get one more person and we talk about some of this economics of America's future. Take me away, Solomon. Look, I feel like I want one of those them shows. Take me away, Solomon. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? Somebody give me a daytime Emmy already. You know what I'm saying? That boy good. That boy good. Man, what's happening with you, good brother? Salute.
Hey, peace, God. Peace, God.
I knew. Okay.
Yes, sir. It's good to meet you again. I first met you in Brooklyn, and
Yes,
I
sir.
actually dropped one of my products on your shoes, man. Sorry about that.
You said you had a product. What product was it?
It was the CMOS. The CMOS broke. I
Yes,
gave you
sir.
the libido. I think I gave you the sour sap bitters and the prostate bully as well.
Okay, man, I appreciate that. What was we at in Brooklyn?
We was at it was a mixer, and you was on a panel and you was having a
Ah, yes,
conversation.
sir. I remember. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
yeah, 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 yeah. I was vibing, and then y'all had the sea moss. Yeah,
Yes, sir. So I
man, I
appreciate.
appreciate that.
Of course, of course. So I don't remember some of the questions that you had asked previously, but some of the thoughts that I wanted to share, it was tied in with the question that you was asking the young lady who spoke before me.
Yes, sir.
So the way that I feel is, I think that we as Black and Brown people, we need to come from a place of value. As you stated before many times, well, we are much more segregated than we used to before. Of course, we are much more unified in the past, but I feel like we need to come from a place of value. One of the things that stood out to me on your Instagram was when you posted a picture of the Black people that were in America, our ancestors basically that were holding a
Yeah,
sign.
that was 1910 silent parade. Silent parade. It was they called Silent March, rather.
Exactly. And they were holding a sign that said, we own 250,000 farms with 20 million acres of land worth $500 million. So I think that
Powerful.
we need to, bring that back to our current stance and understand, well, first understand like, okay, how much businesses do we actually have in our economy? What kind of businesses do we have in our economy? And how can we create our own ecosystem without thinking that our value stems from our ability to vote and sign a ballot? So that's where I stand on that. I'm not voting, because I believe in, the power in my community. I know you were speaking about investing and all that stuff. Currently, not only do I have a health and wellness business, but I also invest in options trading. 20% of my income goes to option trading. 10% of my income goes to my Sophie account, which is a high yield interest account, and I collect 6.09 interest on my money every single month.
Come
You
on,
know?
talk to me then.
Yes, sir.
I'm
Yes,
talking
sir.
about.
So I don't believe in voting because we're kind of looking for a savior. I believe, just like you said, save yourself, tour man. We really need to start saving ourselves. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? We really
Man,
need
get
to.
that brother a shirt. Put the link in there so he get the shirt, cause he understand the motto.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we really just need to just look and be aware of our resources that are around us. Because I've connected with a lot of people. I'm from New York, but I just moved over to Atlanta, Georgia last week. And I've been collecting with a lot of people, connecting with the health and wellness industry down
Yes,
in Atlanta.
sir.
You know what I'm saying? So I've been opening my eyes to see that there are a lot of opportunities, resources that we have within our pool. We're not coming together.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yes, sir.
When it comes to the health conversation, right, that's a very important one for Black men, right? Because, you gave me the CMOS, you mentioned the libido. I ain't got no problem with that. You know what I'm talking about? I'm God body, right?
Yes,
But
sir. Yes,
when it comes to the prostate, we need to make sure that we take care of our prostate health as Black men. We are disproportionately affected. We lose so many Black men every year when it comes to prostate cancer and things of that nature. So I do believe that we need to have more of these conversations about remedies and ways and lifestyles of living in order to be able to curb that statistic. A lot of these things are things that I want to take on and champion when it comes to 2025. Like when I do part of my Savior's Tour or the Save Yourself Tour, I want to do runs with the community, right?
sir.
Of course, in the springtime, it's about to get a little cold outside. I'm not about to be Rocky Balboa with you. You know what I'm saying? But when it get a little warm, we outside again. So it's funny because in the hoods of America, unfortunately, these not environments that you see Black men jogging.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And we don't really have it at a high level where we're taking in the magnesiums and taking in the minerals and, right, we eating in the manner in which we should, even though Black men statistically are the biggest health advocates, right? So we are the ones pushing and moving. That's why you get the Elijah Muhammad's and the Dr. Sebi's, right, and the Dr. Africa's as one of the main proponents to push, right, this ideas of how we keep ourselves healthy and how we keep ourselves clean, right? There was a study that showed that physical activity releases myokines, which have a mood-enhancing effects. This was in Frontiers in Physiology in 2010. which essentially help us produce what's called the hope molecule, right? So where a lot of people want to feel better, they eat, right? We got big back activities out here. We got Olympics, and there's a lot of people getting gold medals right now. But the problem is that the way when you feel down, people go straight to the food to try to correct the mood. But if you did that and instead you exercised, right, and you walk for 40 minutes just 3 times per week, it increased, number one, the hippocampal volume by 2% in adults just by walking, right? And it increases your mood. It decreases, exercising is better than medication when it comes to secondary prevention of heart disease, stroke, and diabetes, things that we affected by the most. So just getting our God body active, just getting that fascia system active, there's so much that we can change in our communities, right? But we live in these food deserts. We're not eating right. We're not taking care of ourselves. America was built off the black body. Now the black body has to rebuild itself up, because that's when you're really going to see us produce the most change, when we at our healthiest levels and when we vibrate the highest. So I salute you being out there, man, selling the sea moss and being an advocate for our black men to get our health together, brother. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you as well, my brother.
Yes, sir. Peace to the God. All right. Let me ask y'all a quick question. Do you think that black men are too feminine? Do you think society, not black men, I'm gonna say society, because society feminine. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't just talking about like being physically together, because that's the shallow aspect of the masculine. Just because you got shoulders like mine, and you got the biceps and the triceps and the quadriceps and all of that, don't mean you masculine. I'm talking about the spirit. I'm talking about the value. Like nowadays, brothers be grading themselves by this high value standard, and they be talking about their looks. We ain't got nothing to do with that. They got to do with your character, your values, and your spirit. You feel me? You ain't got that warrior spirit, I can't really rock with you. You can't call me down and not be prepared to take care of your problem and be a man about it. But for ladies, let me hear from y'all. Do y'all think that black men are masculine enough today? Do you think that it's a real problem? When I grew up, they was telling men, tap into your feminine side. Well, they tapped in. They tapped all the way in. Huh. You might be going and shopping at Neiman Marcus and they didn't grab the purse that you wanted because it looked better on them. You might be at the nail shop and he in your seat getting the French press. You know what I'm saying? Like, talk to me. So let me hear from some ladies right now. Do you think that black men are masculine in this era? Like, how y'all feel about dating? I want to hear a little bit, man. I'm in my flow. I'm in my bag right now, so I want y'all to come talk to me. No. Wait, okay, this a real person. Come on in. This a real person.
Hello.
What's going on with you? What's your name? Where you from?
My name is Sister Renetta. I'm from Chicago.
From okay, Chicago. Let's go.
Yes. So I'm a member
I
of the
lived in
Kingdom of
Chicago.
Islam.
Side note.
Oh, you live in Chicago?
Yeah, I lived in Chicago for a little under a year. You know what I'm saying? I stayed in the Wild Hundreds on the south side. I ain't gonna lie, it was dangerous out there for sure.
Yeah.
And I went out there for some peace. I don't know what the hell I was thinking.
Well, I live in peace because I create my own atmosphere.
Oh,
But
talk
I
to
got a
me
good
then.
teacher, right? I have a good teacher. His name is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Come on with it.
And so with that being stated, I understand the quality of a man because without him, I didn't know the standard that I should be looking for in the man. So today it's really hard for a conscious woman that is striving to be upright to get a conscious man that is on her level of thinking, because most of the time they're on a low level. They want to get sex, that's what they're interested in. And so it's I don't know, it might be easy because it's a lot of men out here. You're just not interested in those type of men. Sometimes it's like maybe they don't have enough swag or they're not appealing. I don't know. But it's like the ones that got the swag the ones that are into business and growth and development, I guess it's just so little quantity of those types of men that have knowledge of their self. It's already 5% of the population when it comes to that. It's like it's kind of it's kind of hard, I guess.
I
But
understand.
at the same time, it's like hard is perspective. So just striving to get my mind in a space where I can be, do, and have whatever I desire, and I create the environment and I attract what I desire into my life. That's a possibility too. So just striving to like stay clean minded. And another thing about the politics, I was always taught, and what I know is that politics they never did nothing for us as Black people, and especially in the Black community. And I was taught that it's separation or death. We have
Woo,
to
talk to me.
understand the knowledge of ourselves. We have to know who we are. Like, we don't really know who we are, and that means we don't know who anybody else are. Because if we understood that we're the mother and father of civilization, if we understood that we are the gods of the universe, then we understand our duty and our responsibility to understand who we are so we can understand how to deal with everybody else. So that's very important. And once we get that information, we stand up. It's like right now we in a swimming pool with 1 inch of water and we drowning. But the only thing we have to do is stand up. So it's a very important thing that we're dealing with right now. But yeah, the Black man right now, it's kind of limited resources because most of
Yeah,
them feminine, they
yeah,
gay. Most of
yeah.
them they act like they want to be with women, but they really sleeping around with men, and that's a scary thing. So yeah, I'm gonna stop talking after that. That's it.
Hey, woo, hey, I think you said what needed to be said because that was on your mind. I think the people are fed. I think that there's a real issue with you, and there's a lot of truth. When I grew up in Oakland, California, since I was in elementary school, I used to go to Monday night meetings with my father, right? And of course, these was FOI meetings. But I really learned what it was to be a man around other men. Now, these men, of course, in that time, they was wild. These was killers, these was street guys, but they was trying to get their mind right and reform themselves and learn business. So I was able to see men's men sharpen each other, learn from each other, tap into, learn how to control those dark traits, number one. Because what happens is we have a lot of light masculinity, soft masculinity, right? There's a lot of dark masculinity, but there's not usually a good temperament of balance, right? Because you can find, like you said, there might be a brother that's righteous out there. He might be good for you, but he doesn't have a hold of his dark traits to where he knows how to be competitive. He knows how to be a powerful man. He knows how to get out there and lead and move. And then that may not be attractive to you. So you may see him as a friend, but not as a husband. Right? And so right now, I think what has to happen is a lot of men that are the good men out there, right? But they're too much of nice guys, and they need to learn how to develop some of that other aspect of masculinity so that the women can be attracted to them beyond being a good friend. Because brothers, y'all getting friend zoned. You know what I'm saying? That's what's happening to you. She like you as a brother. You know what I'm saying? She like you as a friend. But nah, she got to see you like a god when you walking through. You know what I'm saying?
Can you please do me a favor and never change? Like and like be a great representation, continue to attract these brothers and let them know what it is because you do it good, like with knowledge of self and business. You know, and that's very important because some of us got knowledge of self, but we act like it's a crime to get some money. And it's like, no, to get some money.
Well, I grew up a little different. So some of my background, where I grew up around men who had knowledge of self and money. So I was able to see it early. So it was always an expectation, but I also grew up in the streets of St. Louis and Oakland. So part of my ruggedness and my behavior is simply part of my makeup based on who I am. Like growing up in NOI, also growing up with other offshoots of Muslims, right? Growing up in St. Louis, Oakland, doing business as a hustler. It's a dichotomy of things that make me who I am. So I empathize with the average black man because they didn't have that much diversity in their experience. So they had either too much of one thing, not enough of the other, right? And so they weren't able to develop in that same level of balance. I got brothers who different than me, right? I got close friends who different than me. So I'm very empathetic to the black man that is today because we have a very peculiar experiment that's been ran on us. And we're living in the times where we may not be the cause, but we are the effect. And so now we're trying to reverse a lot of these conditions, but I can understand the impatience with a lot of women like, I'm getting my things together, you need to get yours. So I try to put that onus on us and I try to be what I don't see. I'm far from a perfect person, but I think that's what makes me great because I don't try to be perfect. I strive to be better. But thank you, sister, I appreciate you. All right, ladies. Anybody else would like to add in on this conversation? While we waiting on somebody to pop in, the brother Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank, who has amassed a large fortune doing business, he was asked in an interview on if he had to start over, how would he do it? And he answered, I will go direct to consumer, I would use social media, I would use storytelling to sell a product because he said that that's the best way to get into business and entrepreneurship today. Right now, in High Level Club and the mentorship, I'm always teaching people, of course, that's my strategy. I've been that blueprint. We go direct to customer, right? We learn how to build a community. We understand the blueprints of the future, how to not create just a podcast, but how do you create a show to where you get subscriptions, right? How to create your own media and narrative, how to run ads on that so you have a funnel to where you building out your own economy with your products and not relying on somebody else, right? I want you all to think about 2025 and what your future is, because if you show up on time in 2025, you're late. That's the sauce. If you show up early, you're on time, meaning that 2025 has to start now. Don't say I'm going to start something. That's future tense language that actually stars you. Economists have done studies on this, right? And it showed that in places where people have future tense language, such as English is very future tense, meaning we have a lot of words for the near future. There's other countries that they have more words that speak in a present tense. It's a present tense language, meaning that they want their reward now. So they think more in the be and it is and more in the immediate mindset, which is more of the God thought. You plan for the future, but you act now. Because the journey is the reward, not the result. So I want us to make sure that we're thinking about our future, how we're going to be building out these brands. Specifically, make sure you know how to build out your personal brand. Specifically, making sure that you're taking the advice, right? And making sure that you're developing your wealth standard. That's your personal economy. Making sure that you have a financial plan for yourself for the first quarter, second quarter, third, and fourth. If you can't do that, that means that there are some issues with your mind psychologically, which means you have to develop your mindfulness. That means you need practices of Zen, first creating fasting, a clean environment, right? Producing meditation habits and things of that nature so that you have the discipline to be able to clear your mind and focus your thoughts and order yourself, right? There's a few things that we have to do to get ourselves together. That's why we're going to be doing these monthly, right, conversations with the community to making sure that y'all are ready going into the year 2025. We're going to do High Level Club all 2025 so that there's no excuses. You're in a community of people that's doing it too, and you can stay correct and on that path. So make sure y'all tap in. I'm looking forward to that. We're going to be pushing that out to the public, but y'all are the first to know as far as what the plan is going to be. And I'm going to be bringing in peers of mine that can come and talk to y'all for free. All right. And we got the book club, and the book club has been going already for some weeks, and I don't know why you're not in the book club. Come on now. The more you know, the more you grow. Quickest way to increase your value is to learn something new. The quickest way to increase your value to somebody else is to teach them something they didn't know. Each one teach one. Let's go. All right, who we got next, Solomon? Cue them up. Huh? Oh no, we gotta, I love my good sister, but we gotta get a new person in here now. You know my rules. Family, y'all can't just be in here, just watch. You gotta talk to me. Y'all are part of history right now. All right, is there anything else I wanted to go over? If not, we're probably gonna end this one out if everybody else is shy for the rest of the evening. I think that's going to be it. There's a lot of trends that I see in AI, and we taught a whole entire course on it called AI supremacy. We're gonna do a part 2 to keep you updated, right? We have some partnerships that we've been working on in the back end, right? I utilize ChatGPT, of course, that's the easy one, but I think everybody should use it. There's a prompt. If you follow my newsletter, right? How many of you all follow the newsletter and seen the prompt? This prompt has been very powerful. I don't think everybody should do it before 2025. Amechi, how does the prompt go?
Yes, GPT would thus say of yourself and find the gaps that are missing in your life that you're not considering.
Boom. So if you use ChatGPT, I want everybody to press 1 if you use ChatGPT. Press 1. I'm gonna give you all this prompt and I want you all to try it tonight. Good, we got a enormous amount of people who utilize it, right? It's the most popular one. Now, at another time, I'll give you a breakdown of all the AIs we use, how you should automate yourself, decrease your money that you spend on things, and increase your productivity, the amount of money you're able to make from it through these processes. But the prompt was this. You go to your ChatGPT and you type in, create a dossier. Now, a dossier is something that I like to consistently utilize. It's essentially a document of facts about something, right? It's the preferred way that the CIA and the FBI keep files and tabs on people. They have dossiers on them, right? Full records and documentation on them. A lot of times there's psychological profiles, right? So you know a person's strengths, you know their weaknesses. You have a customized file on who they are, so they know how to deal and how to approach with this person. They have history, background, whole nine. But the way we do it is we say, create a dossier on me, right? To tell me things that I may not know about myself, right? So therefore, when I did it, it was beautiful because it gave me a full breakdown. And basically, you're asking it to tell you these things based on your history of using it. So like your browser and your user history. So what it's going to do is it's going to give you a whole entire profile and a breakdown of who you are based on your actual usage and your patterns and your habits and your psychology. So you can tweak it a little bit if you want to. Say, give me a psychological breakdown of things I may not know about myself in the form of a dossier, in short form, right? And a way to where I can learn about myself. So, and you can tell it to be critical. Give me something good, give me something bad. Man, I tell you, it was so powerful when I used it that I'm actually going to be able to utilize these things, because essentially what you're doing is you're getting a FBI profile. Essentially what you're doing is you're getting research on yourself, right? Imagine if you could have told Siri to do the same thing for you, like give me a psychological breakdown of some of my speaking habits when it comes to communication and some of the things that I don't know, and also send me over research papers so that I actually get better in these areas. The way I utilize AI, number one, is for self-improvement. That was my first use case. Then we start thinking about productivity. How can we be stronger and very productive in the things that we do? So we're able to get millions of views, have celebrities on here, people that are celebrities reach out to me. We're able to have a 7-figure podcast, things of that nature, right? Because we know how to hack productivity. We know how to add certain elements. We know how to have a certain framework, right? So those are some of the things that we teach in the mentorship, and we're going to be allowing either discounted or free access for people that are in high-level club members. Because the goal is, number one, to not only use AI, but to use it in a very efficient way. The problem with all this technology is it's too much fast consumption. You got it on your phone, you know about it in your head, but there's so much noise and information that's constantly coming at you that it'd be better if you only use a few apps a whole lot so that you can actually learn how to master them, versus utilizing a whole lot of apps and you're just sampling them a little bit, but they didn't actually change your life. These are billion-dollar tools that was made by massive corporations that they give you access for. But if you don't have a $1 billion plan, it don't matter how great the tool is. Now, as things start to change, creative intelligence and agency gonna be some of the most important things that people need to pay attention to. You need to develop that. You need to develop your communication skills, your storytelling skills, right? You need to develop your ability to be able to manage these machines in a way to where you can be more productive. So therefore, you'll be able to build wealth in the future. Because they're building robots to try to replace human intelligence. They already built machines to replace human strength. As we enter into new ages, you have to develop new types of intelligences. Emotional intelligence needs to be higher, creative intelligence, cultural intelligence, right? The artificial intelligence for the point of being able to produce profit and being able to optimize your own intelligence so that you become smarter and more efficient and effective at the things that you do. So do not let the election, do not let the current cycles take you off your pivot. And because it may not be exciting at the moment, you may have lost your passion for actually jumping into things. You remember why you started to utilize these things. And the reason that I try to get on us in our communities because we are the ones disproportionately affected by it the most. Right? There's funnel and AI systems that you can implement within your business right now that you may think you need to hire somebody for. But instead, it's a $3 to $30 subscription that can do the job of people that would have cost you thousands of dollars. So now for me, this is the wealth transfer that you can utilize instantly. So I'm gonna make sure that through 2025, we stay up to date on the trends. We don't develop future shock where things are rapidly changing so much that we can't respond fast enough. Instead, when you think about the future and you run simulations in your head about what is to come and you learn about these things, when they happen, you're not slow to respond. Instead, you're fast to interact with them faster than everybody else, which puts a gap between you and your competition. I already know the way that we're going to kill the podcast industry in the future, going for 2025. We already won. Everybody else already behind us because they waiting on to see what we do. But we're going to do a slow rollout so they can't even get the full plan. You got to make sure that you stay ahead of the competition. That creates a gap between you and your competition. But you're not going to be able to do that if you don't implement AI into your business. Now, you can do that also by investing in AI, whether you invested on the chip side, the production side, or direct software companies, whether you're learning how to build software as a service, which is called a SaaS product, whether you implement it in different areas in your business to automate things that you have to do right now and get them done. Now, I don't expect you all to become experts in this. That's why we're teaching it so that you can focus on what you're good at, but still be able to implement it in your business. I just talked to an AI operator that wants to come on a team and be able to add that value to actually be able to do that for people. Because in the age of automation, we want things done automatically. Now, press a 1 if y'all feel like you're in that stage of your life where you're going to save yourself. You got self-responsibility, self-accountability. You have self-reliance as a feature in your own authority towards your life. I want to make sure you're constantly educating yourself because we have what you call education credits, which means that the more that you're learning, that curve should go up, things become easier, you make more money, and you become more productive. That's the goal. We're doing a communication class next month. So starting in December. The problem is a lot of people don't know how to speak confidently, so they don't get the results that they want out of life. Men don't know how to speak confidently. Women don't know how to speak confidently. One of the number one skills in life is communication. Utilizing that throat chakra. You need to learn the frequency you speak on, right? What type of speaker you are. You need to learn how to get away from some of those psychological triggers that enabling you from not being confident enough, because this is how you get those optimized results in life. I wasn't always the most confident speaker in the world, but I do have a gift. But it's the skill sets that bring out the talent that allow me to be great within my gift, right? I'm what you call a passion speaker. So I will study things ahead of time, but then I developed a way to make sure that I'm not trying to speak from being the smartest person in the world. I want you to feel me. And I only speak about things that I'm passionate about so that they connect to my audience. There's a way that you need to learn how to speak when it comes to negotiating. There's a way you need to learn how to speak when it comes to one-on-one. There's a way you need to learn how to speak with authority or on the stage to a presence with an entire crowd so that you can get an idea in the head of the people. And there's a way that you need to learn how to speak when it comes to sales. You want to speak to become more confident, influential. All of these things, just by learning that skill set, increases your entire life. Most people have struggled communicating what they're thinking in their head and expressing it outward. You have an idea what you want to say, but you can't get it out that way. You see people who do know how to do it and you wish that was you. Now, if Muhammad Ali taught you how to box, doesn't mean that you're going to be the greatest boxer in the world. Don't mean that you got to just beat everybody. But you can imagine that you will be considerably better by learning his techniques and his skill sets. So my goal is to make you better than where you are today. So it's going to be 4 weeks because it's going to be the whole month of December. So by the time you go into January, you'll be able to express yourself way more confidently and way more influential. Now there's some things that I'm going to be adding on top of that. The metaphysics of it, the occult aspect of it, the psychology, the science, right? A bunch of different frameworks, the hacks that I utilize that'll increase your speaking engagement at least by 20 to 30% instantly. Because throughout life, even though I was a great speaker, I had to refine myself. And if you've been watching me, right, since I got on social media, I'm way better than where I started. Right? That wasn't by accident. It was intentional by studying the best in the world. I've read dozens and dozens of books on the subject. I've studied all of the best experts and speakers in the world. And now I have some of the most powerful, famous people in the world coming to me so I can help them express themselves more confidently and more influential, with more persuasion. So I want y'all to be able to lock in and get some of those same skill sets of the 1% as well. Just learning how to be more charismatic, that can be the one tweak that changes everything within your life. So make sure you join a high-level club, right? Make sure you join a mentorship for those that can't afford it, because I know everybody not ready for that type of investment. If you are, tap in. But I appreciate you all. This is going to be one of the greatest investments that you made. And I thank you all for being here tonight as part of this new beta experiment that we're trying as a pilot for a show. What we're going to do next year, we solidified being one of the greatest teams, I would say, but also the greatest thought leader in the world. That's confidence to say that, number one. But now we want to be the ones who produce the movements, to produce the results for the people. So when it comes to producing new shows, having talent over here, increasing our team, right, taking things to another level so we can have a blueprint that you can follow, that's what we're working on. But I realize I need to focus on the community, right, and a connection to my core base. And I'm going to leave you all with this. When you speak, and when you out there and you're doing your social media and you're trying to get sales, you have to stop trying to get followers. Some of you all are addicted to followers. Who's following me? Stop that. That is not a metric or measurement of success whatsoever. Followers will keep you broke. That's the truth. Followers will keep you broke. Why? Because a person can have 1 million followers. That don't mean they're going to have $1 million. Followers do one thing: follow you. There's no direct benefit. Everything is indirect. What you want is supporters. You want fans. You want people that actually engage, and you want people that buy so that your economy actually grows. But the problem is people trying to go viral, and being viral don't mean nothing, especially with TikTok being here. People can know you, but they don't care. So it changed the funnel, because just because somebody knows about something and it becomes famous doesn't mean they buy into it or interact with it. It has changed the threshold of why we engage with things and why we buy things, and it's because connection. There was a news that came out that AI models is taking over industries, and people that's using it is killing the game, making millions of dollars. Why? Because they can make as many models as they want to without having to hire a photographer, a videographer, without renting out a space, without trying on any clothes, and they can throw it on a model and they can still make money. So that tells me, as the industry changes, who are going to be the ones that's in a safe position? Well, it's not about you being the face. Now it's going to be about the models that have a brand, so that they can also have a distribution channel to create connection to people that the brands can't get on their own. So if you're not thinking creatively on how to optimize for the future and how to set yourself up, if you don't have a personal brand, it's going to be very hard for you to have a channel that you can distribute your thoughts and your products out of. So as the trends change, you must learn how to pivot. So we're definitely going to be giving our blueprint for creators for 2025. Make sure you're part of the High Level Club so you can get the research that I've been doing based on my experience and my years in the game predicting the trends. We've been predicting all of the technological trends, and just based on our brand, you can see why we've been able to stay ahead, because currently our brand is the blueprint that everybody else is trying to do. How can they get connection to the audience? How can they develop an authentic voice, right? How can they build out a platform? How can they have a personal brand, right? All these different things. How can they go direct to consumer? All these things people used to talk about. Now, it's all they can talk about for a different reason, because they know that they need it. But I looked ahead, seeing that the world was going to change, and I said that let me go ahead and set myself up for that change. Now that we done got here, we setting ourselves up for the next change so we can be ahead of it. 2025 is called Solar Cycle 25. That means that the sun is going to be hitting maximum peaks. That means it's going to be getting hot on Earth. Every, believe it's 13 years, you have a maximum peak cycle. And 2025 is in that maximum peak cycle. The reason I'm bringing this up, because every time that there is a maximum peak cycle, you also see changes in social conditions, technological innovations, patterns, movements, things of that nature. And sometimes you see that correlate with chaos, right? Because the earth has so much energy and people have so much energy. And if you don't have somewhere productive to put it, things get crazier, right? So things are going to continue to get a little crazier next year, just based on my historical studies and data based on these things. And if you're not like a cosmic observer like me, to where you're only thinking of local activities and survival, you're going to get stuck, because the bigger picture needs to be understood next year, right? And I'm going to be honest, I'm only focused on my family and community next year. I ain't trying to save everybody. That's why the message is save yourself. I give you the tools, but you got to actually do the repairing and you got to do the building. So family, I appreciate y'all. And make sure you tap in. Hit my DM, comment the word mentor or coach. You'll get access to the program to be able to process and be a part of our weekly conversations, where we're talking about growth. We helping people clarify what their goals are so they can be more productive for the future, right? And they can win in 2025.
We're also sending people a link for Monday, 3:30 Pacific Standard Time for the web.
Oh yeah, y'all get the,
webinar.
man, thank y'all for being a part of it. We're only going to allow 50 people to be a part of this, but we have a study that we're going to have 50 people a part of it. So make sure you click the link and make sure you register, right? It's going to be a very limited workshop, right? We got to ask you a few questions. I can't tell you everything about it. It won't be a little hush hush, but I'll tell you this. I was listening to Malcolm X today. His daughter, Ms. Shabazz, had posted him talking about automation and voting. And I thought it was interesting. He said, with all this automation, of course, he's not talking about AI, but now we're in that. But he's talking about all this automation, right? It's going to be taking people's jobs and essentially not replacing them. And people need to learn how to pivot. And then he started talking about voting and the political elections. And he was explaining how political education is more important than voting, because people don't even understand their process. And if more people become educated on the process, then they have more power and more awareness within the process. But the voter is not even educated. So we decided to team up with some people to be able to help us with some of the political education. So all you all that feel feverish about it, you get to learn some things. We get to learn some things from you. It's only going to be 50 people that get to participate in this as well. And I appreciate y'all being a part of this workshop. It's the first of a kind that we've done. So y'all get to be a part of some history. I see we got a few people that's registered. What's her name? Jessica done registered. Keith done registered. Man, I appreciate y'all locking in. We may get it filled up on this call. If not, we're going to put the link inside our high level club. So peace to the family, peace to the gods. I'm 19 Keys. I see y'all next time.